Hello and welcome back to the Fantasy Cricket Coach. Today I will be going over my team selection for week one of the T20 Blast and some of my plans moving forwards. Because it's the first week of the competition, I'll be skipping all the usual game week preview stuff and just focusing on my team. So a lot of that can be found in yesterday's video as well. So check that out if you haven't. But getting stuck straight into it with the batting lineup. And to be honest, it's the part of my team that I like the least. But it is Sam Hain, Rishi Patel, and Anurian Donald. Sam Hain is there, I think, on hopeful potential more than him being just an established T20 player. His overall T20 strike rate is 132, but in 2023 and 2022, he struck at 160 in the Blast. And last year, he averaged 60 overall. So I know he can do it, and I know he can deliver those big points. He's on just coming in on the back of back-to-back 80s in the county championship as well. So he's clearly seeing the ball fairly well, and he's in decent nick. I think he's an overall just a very good cricketer, and if he's in form, he'll pick up a lot of points for me. So a little bit exciting there. Rishi Patel is a very pragmatic pick, as if you look at who has good fixtures at the start of the season, it's Birmingham, Leicestershire, Northants, Notts, and Yorkshire. And if you look at last season and see who did well out of the batters from those teams, Patel comes in third in the point scoring list. So he's got potential to be up there, but also the fixtures to make it into my team. He's coming off a fairly leanish run, despite scoring a century 3 weeks ago, but in a different format, I see it as an opportunity for him to replicate the highs of last year. Hopefully he does that. Finally, Anurian Donald is someone who I've not really watched much of, but his stats hold up very well. Last year in the Blast, he averaged 32 and a whopping 199 strike rate. I spoke a lot in my preview video about how important those strike rates are. And I think that's why he's a really good pick. Because if you can do that again, it just looks like a great option. I know he's got a single game week in game week one, but he's got back-to-back triples in two and three. So hopefully across the 3 game weeks, it'll work out and average out, and he'll be a good selection. He's been injured a fair amount from recently, really, but from what I can tell, he should be playing for Derbyshire. So I'm excited to see how he goes. Moving on to the all-rounder slots, the really important slots here. I've got Safe Save, Luke Wells, Chris Green, and Darcy Short. Safe Save looks like a great pick. He'll bowl a fair amount and he'll bat in the top six properly. Probably, sorry. Last year, his strike rate was 167 and he averaged 20 with the ball, as well as coming off a lot of runs in recent county championship fixtures. I just think a lot of all that adds up to him just being in for a good season. And with good fixtures too, I'm going to have him from the start, I think. Up next are Luke Wells and Chris Green, which I'll do together because I think the reason I have them is pretty similar. They play for Lancashire, They're the only team to play 3 fixtures in week one, so it seems worth tripling up on their players, I think. Wells is a seasoned veteran and a known quantity, so there are a few points on offer there, definitely. I'm not expecting him to go huge, but he'll tick over. Chris Green is a very good short format player, and so similar to Wells, I think he'll tick over too. I'm happy with them. They're pretty pragmatic, but I think they're in there and they could go big in game week one. Finally, Darcy Short. I spoke a little bit about him in the preview video, but he's just a really good player, and I think he'll play a key role for Gloucestershire this year. I expect him to go pretty well, and hopefully he starts strong. A very good T20 player. Can't ask for much more than that, really. My wicket keeper is Michael Pepper, a really popular pick. He strikes at 115 T20 cricket overall, and last year he averaged 44 while striking at 190, which is absurd, really. I'm not sure much more needs to be said there. I'm not sure if he'll keep the gloves or not for Essex, but if he doesn't, I think he makes the team on merit anyway. So that's how that part of the team's shaping up. A lot of interesting, exciting picks in there. So the bowlers are up next, and they're Saqib Mahmood, A.M. Gazanfar, and George Scrimshaw. So Saqib Mahmood is a very experienced T20 player, averaging 21 with the ball, and again with the triple fixture in game week one, I think he's a great pick early on. Originally, I had Luke Wood in this slot, but he is flagged as playing in another competition in the game, so I made the sideways switch to Mahmood, who I think is a great pick anyways, so I'm pretty happy with that. I think he'll go well. A.M. Gazanfar is a fairly unknown young Afghan bowler who, after 19 T20 games, averages 13. And he's played 11 ODIs and also averages 13. So he clearly has a lot of potential. I'm really excited to see what he can bring to the Blast. And with stats like those, I think he could pick up a lot of points. I know he only has one game in game week one, similar to Donald, but I think if he's good at bringing stats like those and he's that exciting, he could pick up a lot of points anyway. And that's why I want to play him from the start. I think is a great option just to play from the start and see how he goes. He could smash it in the first week, and hopefully he does. Finally, George Scrimshaw, a man who averages 22 in his 3 Blast games last year. He averaged 15. He's been playing some warm-up games in the Northants second 11 and been doing fairly well. So a bit of a form pick there, but I think also a lot of potential. He's pretty low owned, so the ceiling for him is really, really high. I mean, someone on Twitter pointed out to me that with so many good all rounders for Northants, he might not bat or bowl that much. But I thought I'd chance it early on because if it does pay off, it could really help my overall rank. But if his game involvement isn't very high after a week or two, I can easily move on from him as well. So a bit of a punt there, but I'm happy to go for George Grimshaw, and hopefully that pays off pretty well. And that brings me to my bench, where I have Tazim Ali, the young Birmingham player who's played a bit for them in the county championship, and I think could go well this season. Will Smale, a cheap pick with a decent overall record. I'm just hoping he plays more consistently for Glamorgan this year. Ben Kellaway, who I spoke about a lot in my previous video, but an ambidextrous all-rounder who is very exciting. He's a really talented young prospect, and I don't see why he won't be playing for Glamorgan this year. And finally, James Minto, who is the cheapest player in the game that I think might have a decent go. After doing well in the county select 11 and all right for Durham, hopefully they'll reward him and give him his T20 debut. I think all these picks are interesting, but they're sort of based on the hope that they'll play for their teams. So if they're not, I think a lot of these picks could potentially change before the deadline. If someone like James Minto isn't in the squad for Durham, I'll obviously move on from him and try and find the cheapest player who's likely to play that's not him. The two from Glamorgan are also in there to try and target those back-to-back fixtures in game week 2 and 3 that I mentioned earlier. So bringing them in with Donald and Gazanfar already in my team, I'll have 4 out of possible 6 spots locked down for those back-to-back triples. So my bench, I like my bench. I think it looks good. Hopefully they play, and if not, maybe it can move around a little bit before the deadline. Overall, I like how this is set up well for fixtures, but also it's a mix of popular picks and differentials. I'm making sure I have some of those big players covered, but also giving myself the opportunity to get high in the ranks early. So if you see on screen here, some really highly owned players, but also some really low owned players. And I quite like that mix. Captaincy this week is on green. I don't love it, but pragmatically, based on fixtures and his likely game involvement, I think he's the best option this week. I'm hoping he goes well. I think moving forwards, I'm almost certainly going to be doing 2 Glamorgan or Derbyshire players in for the Lancashire players in my Game Week 2 transfers. So I've sort of set my team up with those fixtures in mind too. So that is it for today. That's how my team is looking for Game Week 1. I'm very excited. Should be a good game week. Let's get stuck into the blast. So thank you very much for watching, and I will catch you all soon. Cheers.